Hello there, everybody. How are you today? My name is Jen Rzasa. I am one of the co-founders of Altenew, and I'm happy to be here hosting another challenge with you. So these are our creative challenges, and every week I have a brand new challenge for you, and it's supposed to get you out of your crafty comfort zone, stretch your supplies, stretch your creativity, and it does the same thing for me too. So I'm really thrilled to have you here. I see that we've got many of you already active in the chat. I always tell you how much I love that, but it's true. It's like you guys get the party started before I even get here. We've got Jelly behind the Altenew badge today. So if you have any questions for her, or if you are curious about a product and maybe you're not sure where to find it, she'll be popping the links in. You can always ask her questions throughout the live. She's kind of like my right-hand woman in behind the scenes. So that's how that works. And if you're new here, welcome to Altenew. I hope that you find something here that inspires you, whether it is a product or maybe a tip, either from me or maybe something that you read in the comments, or maybe just the challenge theme in general. Let me just look through some of the names of everyone who's here. I know I'm going to miss some, so my apologies. I'm just going to scroll through pretty quickly. But I see that Alicia is here. Brick by Brick is here. My Scrapbook Loft. What else? Xiomara is here. I can't read that. Kelsh from Houston. I'm sorry. Tell me if I'm reading that incorrectly. I'm so sorry. We've also got Kim and some others. Susan. Hello, hello. So I am primarily a card maker, and I'm going to be creating a card, but that doesn't mean that you need to make a card. If you want to play along, all I need to do is fulfill the challenge prompt. We'll be talking about that shortly, and use the hashtag Altenew Challenge Live with your project, and I would love to see it. If you get selected and your project is featured next week on our live, again, it's Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern time. So you might need to do some time zone math to figure out what time that is for you. But if you get featured, you win a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store. And that's not the only way to win. If you're here right now while we're live, go ahead and share this live stream, because if you do and leave a comment letting us know you shared, you're automatically entered into another drawing for a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store. And that's an easy one. You could just be like sitting in your jammies, like on your couch or in bed or scrolling on your phone or something, and you can win $15 to the Altenew store just for doing that. Easy. Okay, so we've got Carmen. Okay, so I was just trying to read your name, and everything's so small right now because my computer is like way over there. I also think I need classes. I think I brought that up before. I still haven't gotten an exam, mental to-do list, but I'm having a hard time reading some of the names. So if I say your name wrong, I am so sorry. All right, so thank you, Xiomara, and anyone else who did already share. So let's go through last week's theme. We were doing all sorts of texture, and my project went through quite the evolution last time. I kept making creative decisions and then regretting them. And I have to be honest, I didn't even finish my end project, but it does look similar to what I had during the live, but I did make some other choices with colors. I just could not get the greenery where I wanted it last time. So I have the background. This is not adhered right now, which is why I'm just holding it. I wasn't sure about a sentiment. I don't have anybody in mind for this card yet, which means it has a potential to be anything. It could be a birthday card. I kind of like a missing you card, because that might be great. You could like imagine sitting with your friend on the bench. But I was going to put a sentiment on it, and then I couldn't figure out which one. And now I don't want to adhere the bench firmly until I know the scale of the sentiment that's going to go on this card. So this is going to go in my like almost done pile, so that if I need a card for something, I don't have to start from scratch. I could go to the almost done pile, put on a sentiment, and adhere this bench, and then it's done. Do you guys have an almost done pile, a work in progress pile, a place where you have some things that are really close to being finished? So that's where this is going. But I included texture in a few different ways. So I have the background, which you could see right there, all that lovely texture from the greenery in the embossing folder. And then on this bench swing, I have the texture just from layering die cuts. That's like automatic texture. And then I also did this with some of our our relief paste, our shimmer relief paste. So that was something that I was working on during the live. I did add a little cute pillow, and this one is almost done. Okay, so I'm seeing Kim says, yep, Christine. Yeah, so a lot of us have some work in progress. Yeah, it's a WIP, whip. It's a whip, a work in progress. And then Irish Mama, I told you, can't read right now. Irish Mama 315 says, how do you share? So if you want to play along, this week is a new challenge. So the texture was last time, and I will show you who our featured winner is from that challenge. But for this week and any week, if you want to play along, you use the hashtag Altenew Challenge Live, and make sure you are putting that somewhere public so that we can find it. If you have a private account and you use the hashtag, unfortunately, we won't be able to see it. A great place to share is in the Altenew fan book on Facebook. You don't have to share through there, but it's such a great community. So I'm always hyping it up and telling everyone how great it is. So it's free to join. And if you use Facebook, I say you do it, because it's a great place to not only share your own projects and get like bumped up, people tell you great things about it and you feel all good about yourself and warm and cozy. And then you do that for other people too. You see other people's projects and you're like, wow, that's awesome. Let me tell them. You type them a nice little compliment and that makes their day. So it's a really great place to hang out and to share your projects. All right, so let's get to the winner. I just need a second to share my screen. Betsy's saying it could be an Easter card with a flower basket on the bench and a bunny. Oh, that's such a cute little idea. I don't know if we have a little like basket die or probably a stamp. I'd have to go through and see. I bet we have on one of our sets like a little basket stamp. Probably not a die though. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing the winner from last week, this past week. And just take a moment. I don't know what to do except for sing some random notes. Okay, here we go. So drum roll, please. Our winner from last week is Samantha Reed. Congratulations to Samantha. I don't know if I can zoom in on this easily. There we go. So I thought it was really cool that Samantha used different colors of texture paste to go through the stencil. And I think the flowers just have like a lot of light and kind of like shine. They look shimmery and cool. I was reading in her post that she used watercolor and acrylic paint to tint the paste multiple colors, so various hues. And I thought that was like a really cool look. And I bet that feels really neat. Like if you just, I don't know, rub your hands all over it. That sounds so strange. I say weird things sometimes, you guys, but it's true, right? Like if you got that card, would you not like just immediately rub your hands all over it? So that is like the epitome of texture. We are going for texture if you really want to rub your hand on it. Hopefully someone who receives my card will want to rub their hands on it too. And the amazing projects that you guys made that weren't featured, I did check them all out. I love them. And I think we should rub our hands on those too. So congratulations again to Samantha. So go ahead and contact us and let us know that you were the winner of that challenge, and we will get the $15 gift certificate out to you as soon as possible. So thanks to everybody who played along. And now that brings us to today's challenge. So today we're going to be doing divide and design, was it? Yes, divide and design. Sorry, I name all these things like weeks in advance. So divide and design. So what you want to do for this one is your project should have clear divisions in it, like linear divisions. It could be a vertical division, like symmetry, half and half, split down the middle. You can have a line going across diagonally. You can have multiple lines. You can make like little windows and have things happening. But I want to see some kind of divisions that is splitting your project into 2 or more sections. And it's going to help bring some interest and either balance or asymmetry to your design, depending on how you go about your project. So remember, you don't need to have a card. I'll be making a card, and you don't have to have a finished project either. Hello, I am like the queen of unfinished works in progress, right? It would not be fair if I did not go to the same standard that I'm expecting you to go to. So I'm not having finished projects all the time. You don't need to have a finished project. Just make sure it satisfies the challenge prompt and you use that hashtag Altenew challenge live. All right, who's ready to craft? I am, Jelly. Hands up. That's me. All right, let's flip you down so I can show you some of the things that I grabbed. And we have this awesome, oops, right here, the stencil art painted geraniums. So our stencil art are usually 6x6. This one, however, I believe it's 4.5. I should know this offhand because I do design in this size. Let's see, 4.5 by, is it 7.5 or 8 by 8? So it's 4.5 by 8. So you just have like a larger design, and this is bigger than A2. So here is an A2 panel. And when this is finished getting all inked up, it is going to be larger. So I thought since it was larger, it would be great to ink up this design and then cut it up and use that as part of the design in my divisions. Now, the way I would like to divide, it's like divide and conquer over here, is with these frames. So we did a frame challenge a couple of weeks ago, and I die cut these really pretty frames using one of the PKs, one of our Crafted Like project kits. And I actually didn't even do the embossing. I didn't run these through the folder to give it that realistic frame look. This went into the work in progress pile, and I said, hey, I'll do that later. But I actually think these would be really cool ways to divide my A2 card panel. So here's my vision. Okay, so stick with me here. It's a loose vision, but it's still a vision nonetheless. So if I divide my panel something like that, maybe, so using linear divisions, just like I mentioned, the challenge is going to be making sure you have some kind of divisions in your project, but I can cut up that stenciled panel or that stenciled flower bouquet, and then I can tuck pieces underneath in these different frames. Let's see if that makes sense, okay? And I'm seeing that, hint, hint, JC has several videos of dividing up a larger die and stencil for more inspiration. Yes, he's fantastic. I could just watch JC all day, seriously. I like am a total fangirl whenever I see him. It's just... every time I'm like, oh my gosh, it's JC. He's so talented. All right, so let's get going here. I do have this panel, but I'm going to be getting a bigger piece of cardstock right now just to do my stenciling. So this is just a large piece right here, and I do have a sticky mat here, so that should be good. Yeah, I think we'll be okay with the stencil on this one. All right, just trying to organize myself a bit because I know I'm going to start losing track of where some things are. I'm just going to cut this panel in half quickly, and that's just slicing it down at 5.5. I'm placing this, I think that, I know I could use a larger sticky mat, but I actually don't have it next to me right now. And this was the one that was here, but I could, of course, have grabbed the 9x12 if I wanted to. All right, now let me show you a bit here. So the stencil art, as I mentioned earlier, typically is the square stencils, but this one is the rectangular stencils. But we have the layering guide inside, and we also have for this a add-on die. So if you subscribe to the stencil art, it does not include the die. This is a separate purchase because you don't need the die in order to create something beautiful with the stencil. But a lot of people don't like fussy cutting, and they love the convenience and ease of having a die set or a die. So they most often come with an add-on die that you can add to your order. If you don't subscribe, you can also purchase the stencil art and the coordinating die set. And thank you for popping those links in, Jelly. I appreciate it. And Cindy's saying she has the white cap peony stencil set. Yes, that was another one of the stencil arts. And she said it's perfect to cut up. The stencil art designs, since it's like the whole subscription is just a stencil set, they're usually more grand. So like either grand in scale or more detailed in that way. So if you like having a more detailed look, then I would say definitely look into the stencil art. Okay, so I'm going to probably just place it right here. Since I'm working on a larger piece of cardstock, unfortunately, I don't get the benefit of having my stencil adhered down with my sticky mat, because of course this will hold it down while you're stenciling. So because of that, I don't want this to start shifting. I am going to take a teeny tiny bit of our satin masking tape just to hold it down. And I'm trying to see how big this arrangement is and where I want to place it on the cardstock panel. Here we go. So this shows you the full arrangement, how it's going to fit on my panel. Now let me scoot this up a teeny tiny bit. I should have gotten that 9 by 12. That's fine. You know, we make it work, right? Okay, so if I like kind of scoot it that way, that should fit. So you could see now how that arrangement is definitely larger than an A2 panel. And I'm going to start now with the one that is etched with 1. There we go. You could see that one right there. Okay, so let's go right here. Like I said, I'm just trying to see where to place this on my paper. And now we could pick some colors. What should we go with? Let's do a few colors. Let's go something unique. Maybe not super unique, but let's do some pinks and oranges. So I'm going to take out, we have Sunray, Chamomile, Snapdragon, and Terracotta. These are from the Golden Sunset family. And then for the pinks, I will take out Strawberry, Dusty Pink, Blush Rose, and then the Raspberry Sunset. And these are from the Blushberry Bliss set. And what I'll do is kind of start with one color. I think I'll do the lighter colors up here, the yellow and the yellows to oranges down to the pinks over here. Now, if you look and see how many layers we have, there are 3 color layers for those flowers. So I want to keep that in mind as I'm doing this. So I'm going to start with the Sunray as my first yellow tone. And I'm going to skip the strawberry. It's just very, very light. And I think I want Dusty Pink as my first pink color. I love stenciling so much. And I did primarily die cutting in the last live. So now I'm happy to be doing some stenciling. I love stenciling. I love it. I love die cutting too. Guys, I love all of it. I just want to do all of it all of the time. This is so much fun. Okay, so yeah, this is the Sunray, and I'm using mini blending brush. And this is going to be quite light just because this is the lightest in this color family. If you're new to the Altenew ink system, we have them grouped in sets of 4. You absolutely can buy these individually, but I think having the sets of 4 just makes it so much easier when you're selecting colors that you don't have to worry about getting... Let me pick another family. Sorry, I'm thinking I also want a transitional, like more true orange before I get to the pink. Let's do, or maybe in between, Pastel Sunrise. You guys, I can't make these decisions on the fly. I thought I could. Oh, that should be good. Yeah, let's do Pastel Sunrise. I think this should look really nice. Okay, let me get one more ink blending brush. Okay, so these yellows are going to go into this like yellowy, orangey. We're just going to blend all this together. And then we're going to go into the dusty pink from here. I'm going to try to keep track of where I'm blending the colors so that when I go to the next layer of the stencil, I can keep the similar color families together. I'm going to do a little bit of this down here. And now we're going to hop into the dusty pink. Okay, keep that together. Keep this together. Let's see if I want to pick a brighter pink. No, I think this should be great. So you'll see going from the pastel sunrise into the dusty pink is like a really pretty transition down here. Okay, so that's the first stencil done. And then we're going to put Sun Ray aside. We're going to put Dusty Pink aside. And we're going to peel this off. I'm just going to do a quick little wipe. Oh, good thing we're die cutting because I did go over the edge a little bit. Oopsies. I'm just going to use a damp cloth here to just wipe off some of that ink before I put it away. Now, if you're just joining us, today we are divide and design. So I'm going to be cutting up this panel or these die cut flowers and arranging them on my project with some kind of linear design. I haven't quite figured out exactly what that's going to be yet, but we will figure it out as we go along. Okay, so now we have the A2. So that one's going to go right here. And it's pretty easy just to line up like that. And I am just tacking that tape down once again. Let me go right here because I might go over that edge again. Thank you, Jill, for sharing. Okay, now let's go back to the top. And this time we're using the chamomile ink. I'm using that same exact yellow mini ink blending brush. I do cross-contaminate and it doesn't bother me. If it bothers you, then you should definitely get a different ink blending brush for every color that you have or every color family, whatever it is that you prefer. And as I'm looking at the layering guide, we do actually have a sneaky fourth layer. I was looking at the stencil a little bit closer just now, and we have an extra layer. So I will be going into a fourth color for all these. I think I mentioned a second ago that it was 3, but it is in fact 4. Chamomile gets actually a little teeny tiny, but I forgot. Almost set aside. There we go. And now we are up to Canyon Clay. And I'm using the same ink blending brush from before. Oh, I love that little pop that deep color adds. Oh, so lovely. Man, ink blending is fun. It's like such instant gratification, in my opinion. And then the rest I'm going to do with the blush rose. Wow, it is already 4:26. Time flies when you're chatting and having a great time over here. Okay, so this is now that blush rose in the same mini ink blending brush from earlier. And as we complete every new stencil, you're going to see more and more of this dimension come through. I love that this is not a traditionally Jen color combo, because I'm always like with the bright pinks. Obviously, you guys have seen my hair, right? I can't stop myself. But yeah, I'm happy to do some more muted colors and then with like that little punch of yellow. All right, so we're going to set aside stencil number 2. And I'm sure you guessed it, we're bringing out stencil number 3. And stencil number 3 is that one that has the 3rd layer and the 4th layer of these geraniums. I just want to line that up as I did before. The etched lines really make easy work of lining them up. And I know that you might not be able to see all those etchings on camera, but it is quite easy to see them in real life. Now we have Snapdragon. Oh, hello from Alabama. Yazzie Crafter says hello from Alabama. Michael says, I don't know what we're doing, but I like the colors. Oh, I'm glad you like the colors too. I was just saying these are not my typical go-to colors, but I wanted to try something different for myself. And here we are. And we are doing some ink blending, and we're going to make a beautiful bouquet of geraniums. And then these are going to get cut up in some way that I have not determined yet. And we're going to divide and design. That's the theme for this week, is divide and design. You can interpret that as you will, but I am looking for some kind of linear divisions in your project. So like I said, you could keep things symmetrical, divide vertically, horizontally, have symmetrical things happening on both sides. Or you can use those lines to divide in an asymmetrical way. You can go diagonally across. You can do something like this, divide this way and then divide again, like a little T shape. Up to you, but we're looking for some linear divisions to break up the canvas, right? Or whatever it is that you're using. So we want to break up the look by having those linear divisions. And if you share using hashtag Altenew Challenge Live, then you will be considered and potentially will be able to win if you are featured next week. Okay, we are in burnt red now. And it's going to get nice and dark here. Bring that up a little bit too. That's it for the burnt red, because now we're going to the raspberry sunset. Oops, wrong side. And these are nice and deep colors. Just like that. And then we'll lift it up to reveal what we've got. Thank you to everybody who is sharing. I love seeing that you are not only active in the chat, but you are sharing as you watch this. Now, if you look over at the layering guide, I am going to rotate the stencil 180 degrees clockwise. Let's see if we could get that to focus. There we go. Okay, so that instruction is telling you what to do. So I'm going to be rotating the stencil like this. Basically, it's going to be upside down. And that's how I'm going to align it. So that's going to give me the last bits of detail just on the centers of all of these flowers. And then we're going to start on the greenery. And I'm going to do the same thing as before. I'm going to use 2 different color families. Haven't decided which ones yet. But I think it'll make it really interesting, especially when we start to cut up and use different sections of this. I want there to be different areas that are lighter and different areas that are darker. All right, now don't ink up anything over here, because then that's going to get where your greenery is. You want to make sure you're sticking within this etched border There's a line going around right over here. Okay, we are in now the terracotta. Okay, and do a little bit right here. Someone asked, Rennie says, it nice to know what stencil she's using. I'm using the Stencil Art painted geraniums. And it is larger than an A2 card. So if you're a scrapbooker or you make large scale projects, this is going to be really great for you because you'll get something, a really large arrangement that you can use on your projects. And I feel like a lot of things in the paper crafting world are geared towards smaller scale. So we do like doing larger scale often, because if you are into a larger scale project, again, like a scrapbook, you can use it at full scale. And if you make something smaller like tags or cards, you could just cut it up, which is what we're doing today. We will cut this up. Okay, so since I skipped the first layer of my pinks, I skipped out the strawberry, I'm just going to do mahogany bark to finish up all of this. It's a similar enough color. I think it'll look okay. And this is a very, very, very dark red. This is a like stain your stencil, stain your stain your photopolymer stamps type of red. Okay. Anything that gets stained, by the way, it's fine. It still works just fine. So don't be alarmed. Dark reds, deep blues will also do that depending on the color. You also might need to do more work to clean off your blending brush when you use these colors. They're just super, super duper pigmented. That is looking so pretty. I do wish, again, like hindsight is 20/20, they say. I do wish I used darker yellows, maybe even like bright oranges, like orange cream or something. I think this will still work. I could always go back and ink over it again if I need to in a darker color, but we'll stick with that for now. We'll see how it goes. I am just going to do a quick wipe down, and this didn't stain too terribly. It did stain a little bit. If I put it on a white piece of cardstock, you'll see where it did stain. But not too bad, not too bad. Just wiping down the back. Again, this is just water. You can always use a mild soap when you're cleaning your stencils if you want to like really get them clean. But can you see it's like a little pink around the edges here? That's just where that color stained. Oh, there you can see it better. Okay, so it's absolutely fine. Does not change the effectiveness of the stencil. It's just from that deeply pigmented mahogany bark color. And that was stencil number 3. So you know where this is headed. We're going to stencil number 4. Okay, so if you look at the layering guide here, for stencil number 4, we have this beautiful like a branching branch. Yes, that's what I meant to say. We have a beautiful branching branch. And I'm thinking when I trim this down, I want some areas that are just leaves. So I'm glad we have this like heavily leafy area down at the bottom over here. Since I'm taping these down anyway, I'm not going to even worry about using my sticky mat right now. And we're just going to tape it. Now for the darkest parts of these flower centers, oh, there's a little piece that's not popped out. This can happen from time to time, guys, just from the manufacturing. This is like a fallout piece. I haven't used this stencil set before, which is why I didn't have that popped out. If you ever see that, just pop it out and throw it out. It doesn't happen often, but it is possible because as these get cut by the laser, all of those extra pieces that you don't need just fall out and get discarded. So sometimes if it's attached like that, you can just pop it off. Okay, let's get back to it. Right over here, lining things up. That looks beautiful. Oh my goodness, I hear my son in the background. Whenever I do my live, my husband is entertaining him downstairs. And every once in a while I hear him. I never know if it comes through though, if that's just me hearing it or if you guys can hear that too. But it sounds like they're having a good time. So yeah, just a little bit of tape. These are just all reused pieces of satin masking tape. Thank you, Christine, for liking and sharing. Yeah, Kim's saying alcohol will also take it off if you're concerned about how that's looking with the staining. All right, let me just put these away quickly because I know I'm going to take out more inks for my greenery and I don't want to have too much out right now. Okay, so let's put these away and then the raspberry sunset, blush rose, dusty pink, and strawberry will also get tucked away. And surprise, surprise, I'm taking out my tropical forest. I love these greens. And something unexpected. Let's see. Let's do Mountain Mist, Volcano Lake, Lagoon, and Emerald. So these are the seashore colors. So Tropical Forest and Seashore look so beautiful together. And I'm curious to see how this is going to look because I went very warm with my flowers and I'm going very cool with my leaves. Like, yes, these are like warmer greens, but I think when I start blending with these more blue tones, it's going to cool them up a little bit. So let's see how that goes. We're going to put away these 3 blending brushes and just pull out 3 more. And I think this one will do well for the seashore. And then I've got my trusty, I pretty much always use this for the tropical forest, mini blending brush. Yeah, Brick by Brick is saying opposites attract. I think it'll be good. Yeah, we're mixing the cools and the warms. And for the greens, this is where I have 3 color layers. So just keeping that in mind as I do my ink blending. There's also a little teeny tiny piece right here that does not get inked up in this first pass. So I'm just going to avoid that. If it is something you think you're going to ink over, just put a piece of tape over it and then you won't accidentally ink on that. Let's put the bamboo up here and then kind of go into the mountain mist around it. Now, since the theme is divide and design, you have to have some kind of linear divisions in your project when you upload it, even if your project is not finished, if you're choosing to go the work in progress route. I'm going to do the greens for the centers here. I wasn't sure if I was going to do green. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, I think that looks cool. Let's put this piece of tape back on. But yeah, if you submit a work in progress, just make sure the work in progress fulfills the theme of the challenge. Okay, now let's say that's good and then go into the mountain mist. Yeah, I'm seeing also the tape over the no-no parts all the time. Yeah, it's scary. You might just get overexcited, especially if you're using a larger ink blending tool. You really don't want to go too wild. Oh, this is so pretty. Okay, I am going to add some more green back into this because otherwise this is just going to be super blue down here. But I love it. I love it, love it. Okay, and we'll go back into some more greens. Just going wild with our colors here. So this is bamboo again. Just going to blend that up. Oh yeah, something about these color families together is just so satisfying. So satisfying. And I am die cutting these out, so I'm not too worried about going over the edge of the stencil. I've got that super large die over here. I always talk about how much I love the mini blossom, and it's true. I do love the mini blossom, but you do need to know the mini blossom die cut machine's plates are 3x6, which means that's the maximum size it will accommodate for a die. So this is going to be too big, and I'm going to have to use a different die cut machine. So just FYI. That's looking so pretty. And then let's go in here and just add the centers to these flowers. This is kind of darkening it up. I know you can't take a light color officially like this, the bamboo, and ink over dark. Oh, sorry, is this Mountain Mist? No, this is the bamboo. You can't ink light over dark, but you kind of can. I would say you can, but you can't. You can't, but you can. It will make that area look a little bit lighter. You'll see when I peel this off. So you could see that it did kind of lighten it up. Not completely, not in all areas, but I think it looks good. If you really wanted to, you can go like really dark and do like a dark, dark black or a deep purple for something like that. Okay, so put these two colors aside. Just do a quick little wipe down. Oh, Post-it notes on a roll. That's a new concept to me. Huh, that's really cool. And is that what you use to mask off different areas of the stencil? I'll have to go back and read the comments that I missed. I'm never able to catch all the comments while I'm crafting live, but I'm very intrigued by that. Okay, now we're going to go into the next stencil. This is our stencil number 5. So there is an etched 5 there. You can see it in the corner. And I'm keeping eyes on the time. I really think this is going to be another one of those tune in next week to find out how Jen's project finished. It's like when when you watch TV shows and there's like a cliffhanger, but back in the day, you'd have to wait like an entire week to find out the conclusion of the cliffhanger. But nowadays people just binge watch TV shows and you find out 5 minutes later. All right, let's go into the parrot. So we'll do the same areas green as I did in the first layer. So this was all green. All of the little center bits of my flowers were green. These areas are green. And then this whole area will be blue. And the next color for the blues are the volcano lakes. I'm calling them blues, but they're like turquoisey, teal colors. Bluey green, greeny blue. Not a true blue. That's why it looks so nice with the tropical forest. Just blend right across. Yeah, we're getting a lot of character as we blend this together. Thank you for liking and sharing, Tracy. I always appreciate that. I went a little bit under there. I think it was slightly wet where I had my stencil that I was wiping down before. That's okay. It's just adding a little bit more dimension. But if you're curious what those little dark areas were, those were just a little wet. And then we're going to finish it off, die cut it, and then see what we can do about assembly before I need to sign off and say bye-bye to all of you. I always love crafting with you guys, and I'm telling you, sometimes this is the only crafting I have time to do in the week, because between working for Altenew, working as an elementary music teacher, and being a mom to an almost 2-year-old, like the crafting time doesn't always happen. So whenever I have a live, at least I know I am guaranteed to get some crafting done. This is stencil number 6. The final one we have here. And for that, I'm going to go into Olive and Lagoon. Yeah, this is just coming along really, really beautifully, in my opinion. I hope you think so too. And I know that doing the multiple color families and doing all of that blending takes a little bit extra time, but I think the payoff really is worth it. Do a little bit there. Oh, this color is so gorgeous. Oh. Yeah, I'm going to say these are probably my favorite Altenew color families. It's just so good. And they look so nice together. So now we get to see how our cool leaves with our warm flowers ended up. Looks gorgeous. It's like more springy than I expected. I think it really springed it all up once I added the greens here, the greens and the blues. Even the stencil looks pretty. You know what you could do? Fun tip, like if I had another, let me get another piece of paper here. Okay. So here's something you can do just for fun. When you're finished, instead of just wiping down your stencil, go ahead and spray it with some water. Let me get my project out of the way here. And it's going to activate all of that color. And now you can just like do like a smushing watercolor thing, get a nice little watercolor background. I'm doing this very quickly now, but you get the idea. Let this dry, and then you're going to have like a really cool looking watercolor panel. And then you could still just go back then and clean your clean your stencil up. You know, if you really don't want to waste your supplies. If I thought that it would go with this project, that might be a really great way to incorporate the colors in the background. But I think the way I'm going to be dividing this, especially with these frames, using them as my linear divide areas, I don't know if I'm going to want a busy background. I might just want a plain white piece of cardstock. But again, we'll see. I've got 10 minutes left, and it's definitely not going to get finished right now. All right, let's pull out that die. And this is going to do the outer cut line. And I don't want to cut up the inner areas with the flowers until I figure out where those frames are going on the card base. Love how big this is. If you guys want to, in the comments, let me know if you like using larger sets like this. So like larger dies, larger flowers. And then if you tend to use them full scale, or if you cut them up like I plan to. This tape, using the same pieces from before. The same pieces that are just stuck to my table. You get a lot of use out of one piece of tape. These are all just ones that are stuck to my desk that I've used before. Okay, so now I'm going to just go off screen because I do need to use my larger die cut machine. I'm going to send this through, and then we'll look and see if we could do some assembling. Even if I don't finish the card, I'll at least get a basic idea of how that's going to go. And then you guys can see the finished result next week when we return next Tuesday. Sandy says she loves using large dies and don't tend to cut them up, or she doesn't tend to cut them up. Do you usually make cards or do you do larger scale projects? I'm curious about that. And I'm also seeing that Kim cuts them up when she uses it. Christine's a fan of this. Yeah, this is the beautiful stencil art. So this is the painted geraniums, the stenciling we did. It took a long time, but it looks so cool. And then now I'm using that coordinating die. Okay, so I'm using the Gemini Junior for this. So I'm just looking at all my plates, making sure I have all the ones that I need for this cutting sandwich. And now I'm going to send that through. Okay, while that's cutting, Rebecca says, I typically leave it all in one, sometimes with multiple sets on the card, and sometimes you could cut off the edge. Yeah, I love that too, going off the edge. And hint, hint, there is a challenge coming up. I don't remember when it's scheduled for, what date, but there is a challenge where you're going to need to have elements hanging off the edge. Oh, that is just so, so pretty. I almost don't want to cut it up. I love it. I love it so much. And I think the warm and the cool colors look really great. It was a bit of a risk, but I'm happy about that. And I do think it's going to look awesome with these frames. Just a quick little update. When I cleaned off my stencil, here's how that watercolor panel is looking. It's not completely dry yet, but like I said, you can always use that background. It wouldn't work for this challenge prompt because I'm trying to divide and design with like straight linear divisions, but wouldn't this just make a gorgeous card? And then you can cut off the pieces that are hanging over the edge. That would be so pretty. But yeah, we'll save this for another time. And let me just quickly cut an A2 panel because I used that one, the one I was planning on for this card. I used it with my leftover ink splatter. And I'm seeing Brick by Brick won the $15 gift certificate for sharing while we're live. Thank you so much for doing that. And let's see how this vision is going. So these were my frames that I had cut on a previous live. And I kind of liked when I was putting things at an angle, maybe like this. So the theme is divide and design. So what you need to do is find some way to do linear divisions. And I'm saying linear because I don't want it to be like an approximation of a design. Like you will actually be dividing your project into segments. So in this case, I'm using the edge of these frame dies to be my linear divisions. And I've got different sections where I can put elements, right? I can put sentiments or flowers in each of these sections. And you can decide if you want it to be balanced, like everything, all sections have an equal number of elements in it, or you can decide to have it more asymmetrical. I think I might go more asymmetrical, but here's my intent. You will see next week what it ends up looking like, but I will be cutting different portions of these flowers and tucking them, I think behind would look great. So I'm going to pop these up with foam tape and then tuck the flowers behind coming out, figure out a greeting and pop that on. So this is you need to use your imagination right now, but these are the elements. I'm loving how it is looking so far. I'm really happy with the color scheme. I'm happy with all of the detail that we get from that stencil set. It is just gorgeous. We're not getting any, I hate trying to get this to focus. I'm so sorry. Let me put something else here. Get it to focus first. There we go. Okay, so you could see all of the detail there in those flowers is lovely. Camp Happy is saying it's springy. I love thinking about spring right now during the cold, snowy winter. Yeah, and then if you're in the US, the groundhog saw its shadow. So we're predicting 6 more weeks of winter. I know it doesn't really mean anything, but if you want to go by what the groundhog says, unfortunately, he thinks we still need to deal with the cold and we don't get an early spring. So I'm hoping maybe this springtime themed divided project, I'm going to keep reminding you so that we know to keep to the theme with our projects. This is hopefully going to help bring on springtime because I am ready for it. All right, so let me just pop you back up and we'll do a little wrap up here. Hello again. So I had such a great time doing all of that ink blending and stenciling with you and just experimenting with colors and hopefully providing some helpful tips along the way. I can't wait to go back and see what some of the comments are that I missed. You guys seem to be having a great conversation back there in the comment section. And I also am excited to finish this card and make sure that I have those linear divisions splitting up my canvas. I'm going to call it a canvas. I know it's a card, but maybe you're going to be doing it on a scrapbook layout. Maybe your canvas is going to be a tag. Maybe it's going to actually be a canvas and you're going to make an art piece with some kind of linear divisions. And that is how we're going to divide and design, which is the theme. If you are playing along, please post your project and share with the hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. And I will be back next Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern time to share the winner. So someone's going to be featured next week and we're going to have a brand new challenge. I really had so much fun with you today. I am seeing more comments pop up, so I have a lot to catch up on. And I hope all of you guys enjoy crafting this week. Hopefully you'll have time to craft. And if not, I at least am happy that you were able to join by watching. I hope all of you have a wonderful and crafty day, and I will see you next time. Bye.